Hi, boys and girls. This is Mrs. Gregory. Some of you know me and some of you might not. I wanted to read to your classes, and I'm so sorry I couldn't be there in person because as you're watching this video, I'm flying with my husband to Germany to see my daughter and her husband and their three children. So I wanted to share a story with you via this video from one of my favorite authors, Jan Brett. Jan Brett has some awesome books, and the illustrations are so cool. On each page, the pictures show you what's going to happen in the next part of the story. So I wish you could see the pictures a little better. Maybe you can get this book for yourself and read it and look at the pictures a little closer. This is called Who's That Knocking on Christmas Eve by Jan Brett. I hope you enjoy it. High above the Arctic Circle in the land of ice and snow, the northern lights shimmer in the night like a curtain of color hanging from the sky. The air is so crisp and so clear in this northern place that one Christmas Eve long ago, a boy from Finnmark, on his way to Oslo with his ice bear, could see smoke curling up from a hut far in the distance. He was cold, he was hungry, and so he headed right toward that hut. Far off in another direction, someone else smelled the same smoke, and even though he couldn't see it, he raced off to tell the others. Wonder who that could be. As the boy from Finnmark made his way toward the hut, Kyrie was inside, feeding the fire that made the smoke that roasted and baked all the fine food. Delicious sausage and fish and tasty buns and cakes were all laid out on a pine table. Sweet porridge bubbled up over the fire, and apple cider stayed cool on the window sill. So why did Kyrie jump at every creak she heard in the sod roof? And why did she run to the window every time an icicle fell off into the snow? It was because in years past on Christmas Eve, trolls came by when they smelled the delicious aroma coming from the hut, and they would pound on the door until it burst open, and they wouldn't leave until they had eaten every bit of the Christmas Eve dinner. No troll invasion this year, Kyrie's father had said. I'm going up on the mountain to watch for the trolls and to chase them away. And off he had gone to stop the trouble before it even began. So this year Kyrie was alone in the hut when she heard a very soft knock at the door. Knockety knock, knockety knock. Someone was out there, but it was surely too polite a knock to be a troll. Kyrie went to the door and peeked out. There was the boy from Finnmark with his ice bear. Please let me inside to warm up, he said. I'm on my way south to show off my bear to the townsfolks. They're in Oslo. I've many frosty miles behind me and many more to go. Come in, Kyrie said. But I have to warn you, in years past, our house has been invaded by a pack of hungry, mean trolls. Trolls would be a welcome adventure, the boy said. So he came in. The ice bear came in too and crawled under the warm stove and fell asleep. So the ice bear is a polar bear. Kyrie and the boy had just settled down in front of the fire when they heard a knock, and it was not so soft this time. Knockety knock, knockety knock. There's no one at home, the boy called. He was certain it was trolls, so he pushed a big chest in front of the door. When all was quiet, Kyrie and the boy sat down in front of the fire again. Kyrie got to thinking, I wonder if the porridge is creamy enough. So she ladled some into each of their bowls. They had just raised their bowls when they heard a very loud knockety knock, knockety knock. It was as if someone was pounding on the door with a huge rock. No one's at home, the boy from Finnmark shouted, and he ran and locked all the windows. It was quiet again, and the delicious smells wafted around the hut. So Kyrie got to thinking, is the sausage salty enough? So she took a piece for herself, and she gave one to the boy. They had just raised their forks when they heard another thunderous knockety knock, knockety knock. The hut shook, and they heard a loud crack. It was the cellar trapdoor splintering open. Kyrie and the boy ran into the animal shed and pulled the door shut behind them as a torrent of noisy trolls burst up from the cellar. There were bat-eared trolls and bug-nosed trolls, and each troll was wilder and more raucous than the other one before. They munched and grunted and shrieked and cackled, splashed the cider, crammed themselves with Christmas cake. Then, when they were through stuffing themselves, they tumbled out, pinching each other's ears, stamping on one another's toes, and tweaking their long snouts, which is how trolls have fun. But through the ruckus and the din, the littlest troll spied the ice bear under the stove. He took a hot morsel of sausage he had been roasting in the fire, and he screeched, "Have a bit of sausage, kitty!" And he poked the sleeping bear's nose with it. He thought the bear was a kitty? Eee. The ice bear leaped up with a tremendous roar. His nose was burning terribly. Growling, he chased the little troll and all the big trolls under the table, up the walls, out the windows. "Scratch 'em, kitty!" Kyrie and the boy cheered as the trolls scrambled off through the ice and snow and howling as they went. Up the hill, Kyrie's father heard the shouts, so he raced down on his skis. When he saw the trolls, Kyrie's father could tell in an instant that they wanted to be as far away from their hut as they could be. "Goodbye, trolls!" he shouted as they disappeared up the mountain, and he skied home. "What a fine bear you have!" he told the boy from Finnmark. "Thank you for scaring away those pesky trolls. You must come back next year for a real Christmas feast on your way home from Oslo." And they all sat down for some porridge. A year later, Kyrie was on the mountain gathering wood to make a fire to cook for the Christmas Eve dinner, when the smallest little troll popped his head out from behind a snowbank. "Missy," he called in a high, crackly voice, "do you still have that kitty that sleeps under the stove?" "Oh, yes," Kyrie said, "and she has grown up into quite a big cat now. And she has 7 little kittens that are larger and fiercer than herself." "Eek!" squeaked the troll. "We won't be visiting your hut this Christmas Eve." And he disappeared into a huge snowdrift. I bet those trolls will not come around for a long time after seeing that big kitty which was really a polar bear. I hope you like the story about the trouble with trolls and the knocking who's knocking on Christmas Eve. If you'd like to read more Jan Brett books, I know that the library is full of a lot of them. Here's another one of my favorites from Jan Brett called The Wild Christmas Reindeer. I hope you guys have a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. See you next year.